Greetings and welcome to Life Beyond the Meeple. A few days ago I was down at our friendly local gaming shop for a board gaming evening, and I spotted on the shelf there a game which I just couldn't resist buying. It's now on my shelf. It's called Port Royal. And the reason I wanted to get this is because I wanted to play it there and then. I'd previously played it a few days before that and been shown how to play and thought therefore that I could teach other people without any problem. So I did, and we had a good game. It wasn't until I got back home and the next day I actually got out the rules and started to read them that I discovered we got it all horribly wrong. Most of the game we played right, but one of the key rules we got wrong. There are different coloured ships in the game, and when you have 4 ships you could take 2 cards instead of 1. If you've got 5 different coloured ships you could take 3 cards instead of 1. The way we played it was that you collected those ships in your personal display. But it wasn't like that at all. It was the number of different coloured ships in the harbour. You never got them yourself, they were discarded once they were used. If that doesn't make sense, go and watch my video on how to play Port Royal and all will become clear. The point I want to make here is that it's very easy to assume you know something and find out you don't. I assumed I knew how to play, but until I'd read the rules, I didn't really know. In life, it's so easy to make assumptions. A lot of people assume they know what the Christian faith is about. They think it's about being nice to each other and following the teaching of Jesus, who told us to be nice to each other. But it's not really about that at all. The Christian faith is about God doing something for us because we're not very good at being nice to each other, and therefore he needed to help us out, and he does that through the death and resurrection of Jesus. There's a lot more I could say. Let's leave it at that for the moment. Go and find out more. If you think you know what the Christian faith is about, well, don't assume. Is it about that? Find out. And one of the best places, of course, to find out is the Bible. That's our sort of rule book, although that's perhaps a misleading description. But that's where we can read for ourselves what Christianity is about, what Jesus did, how those early disciples made sense of it all, and what they thought was important. So don't worry about game rules, not so important unless you're playing a game, but do worry about the Bible. I will just prove that I have a Bible. There we are. You can see here Bibles. I'll pick one just to prove that it is a Bible. Read it. Don't assume you know what's in it. And I'm talking to you who are Christians, okay? Because even us Christians are very bad at assuming we know what's in this book without reading it. Here's a trivial example. We all know, don't we, that Samson was a big strong man who lost his strength when his hair was cut off by Delilah. A story in the Bible, isn't it? Well, it is, but his hair wasn't cut off by Delilah. If you don't believe me, go and look it up. His hair was cut off by a man, a servant that Delilah called in. And if you think about it, that's fairly logical, because she'd seduced the information out of him, the secret of his strength, that his hair had never been cut. He was asleep. The chances were therefore that she was in bed. He was maybe slumped on top of her, or maybe with a great hairy arm draped across her. She wouldn't have had scissors nearby or knives. I'm not sure when scissors were invented, so what implement was used to cut hair in those days, I don't know. But she wouldn't have had it to hand anyway. So she would have had to sort of wait till Samson was asleep and then beckon one of the servants across, you know, and sort of mime the action, you know. Something like that. Trivial example, I know. Actually, there is a picture by a famous artist whose name I can't remember, but it'll go on the screen when I show you the picture. There it is. It's happening now as I speak. And he gets it right pretty much, apart from the fact that I think possibly there may have been less clothes involved in Samson and Delilah's compromising position. But here's the thing, even Christians don't get it right. We don't always know what's in here unless we read it. I know it is difficult, and I know some of it will need people to explain it, to help us understand it, that we need guidance, we need wise people to interpret things. But the beginning thing is knowing what it says. Don't assume. There is another point that I'd like to make based on this misunderstanding of rules, but I'll save that for the next episode of Life Beyond the Meeple.